You know, there was a day when I concentrated solely on color shots, and more I'm getting into black and white. Yeah, just something about a black and white image that's different from color. Not that it's any better one way or the other, it's just different, and I like the fact that we have the ability to transform an image. And on the one hand, that might not be usable as a color shot, such in this image right here, all blurred and out of focus with Kaylee. And then, of course, there's just the simple fact of changing the emotional impact of an image and refocusing the direction of the attention of the eye in a black and white image. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 6 images over the next 2 lessons to show you how to look at an image. And when you're not happy with it as a color, think of it as a black and white. And that also goes for when you're in the field. If you've got overcast conditions and you're looking at a landscape and you're saying to yourself, there ain't no color here anywhere, think in terms of black and white. How is this image going to look as a black and white? And that'll completely change your perspective about approaching a scene when you're in the field. It's having another arrow in your quiver, so to speak. So let's start with this image here of the water in Yosemite National Park, and this is part of runoff. And when it's heavy runoff, there's a lot of dirt in the water, and it's ugly. It don't work as a black and white just because the water's so ugly. It's not clear and blue and, that sort of thing. So it's kind of almost looks like sewage water. But when you change it to a black and white, you come up to image, adjustments, everything changes. Now, the default setting on this looks okay, but look what you can do with some of the presets in the black and white dialog box. You go default, high contrast red filter, and this is usually what I do. I don't mess with these too much. Everything I do really works with the high contrast red filter, and in this particular case, it did not work. So let's see what the high contrast blue filter looks like. And oh yes, this is what we're looking for. And then we can do small adjustments with these sliders. So if I move the red slider, I get a little bit of a reaction. If I take the yellow slider, however, look at the change that occurs. So if I move it to the right, it's flatter. If I move it to the left, I can actually increase the contrast. So very, very good. It works. Now it's a photograph about the flow of water rather than, ooh, that looks gross. Okay, so it changes everything. In this image, yeah, it's a great shot, but I think there's more we can do with it as a black and white to increase the emotional impact. This is Sam standing up at Taft Point in one of my workshops, and I just thought that looked really great. So let's go image, adjustments, and white balance. And it looks awful as a default, but let's go ahead to the high contrast red filter and look at the difference. The clouds are tremendous. I love the reaction of the clouds on that. I'm just going to punch this just a little bit to bring out some of the detail in the smaller areas of the clouds. But let me show you what can be done with this area. See, this is a little bit distracting. Who cares? Granite. You ever been to Yosemite? Granite. It's like sand at the beach. Wow, big deal. So we're going to reduce the distraction of that granite by taking this slider and moving it over here. Plus I'm adding contrast. So now the eye does a complete shift away from being drawn down here to being drawn where it should be drawn, up here in the sky where you have this beautiful, glorious cloud formation right above Sam here, who's gazing out into the wonderment of it all. We got a little sliver of Yosemite Fall down here. So this is a great image. I think that the impact of this image changes completely in black and white, much for the better. The next one, great shot of Sonia. She's another one of my workshop students. So I love this shot of the pose and the expression. Everything is perfect, the lighting. But this red sweater is like, whoa, first time you look at this image, you're just like, it has a negative impact. So what can we do? Well, we go image, adjustments, black and white, and that completely gets rid of this. But look at how mushy her face looks. All we got to do is punch up the yellow just a little bit, and look at that. Completely changes the eye's focus on this image, and it's as simple as that. Now stick around. In the next movie, we're going to take a look at 3 more images to convert to black and white.